So this is the part of the press conference that was leaked last night. So this is when he's going to go in on Sophie Cunningham. He's about to go in on. Listen to what he says. Listen to what he says here, guys. Listen. Can't make this up.
So this is just disrespectful, and I don't know how JC and Lindsay they get ejected from the game when they.
Sophie Cunningham gets ejected for defending her teammate, while Marina Mabrey walks away scot-free after delivering what can only be described as a calculated assault on the face of the WNBA. Meanwhile, Connecticut Sun head coach Rachid Meziane, the same man who just stood there watching his players target Caitlin Clark with illegal fouls, has the audacity to call Cunningham's response disrespectful.
Courtney, if somebody ever tackles you like that...
Nobody would ever tackle me like that. They would play with Bridget like that, and then we would have to, take it up there.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
But I'm just saying that.
I ain't nobody would ever play with me like
if that ever happened, you better crash out behind me. Because I'm crashing out behind you. We can share the same jail cell. Yeah, bro.
Oh my gosh, bro. Our team would crash, bro, because they would play with somebody that's not even like it would be like they would do that to Bridget or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's bro, stop fucking playing with Bridget like that before we run down on some shit.
What should have been a celebration of the Fever's advancement to the Commissioner's Cup Championship instead became a perfect case study in how referees can completely lose control of a game, allowing targeted aggression to masquerade as competition.
Acting and standing up for her teammate. So evil.
Damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Marina Mabrey, damned if I do. Did she just say damned if I do, damned if I don't? She just knocked someone on their ass for no reason from behind. She freaking Marcus Morris them. Well, no, sorry, Nikola Jokic on Marcus Morris there.
If I do, damned if I don't.
I hate that one up.
It's just basketball, man.
Let's break down exactly what happened in the third quarter of that game, because this sequence reveals everything that's rotten about how the WNBA operates. J.C. Sheldon, with what officials would later describe as unnecessary contact with wind-up and impact, deliberately poked Caitlin Clark directly in the eye. The intent was questionable, but Clark's reaction was entirely human. She grabbed her face in obvious pain.
So you see Sheldon guarding up, playing pretty good defense. This is what I was going to give her credit on. She was not allowing Caitlin to penetrate, get into the paint, deny her the path to the basket, right? Boom, she bumps. Caitlin drives around. Look, good footwork. Okay, you stand in front of her. I give it to you. Boom, bumps again, spin around, boom. She's bumping, getting bumpy. And then that happened. I'm like, what was that? What is this play right here, man? Sheldon, what is this right here, fam? No way you just reach for Caitlin's eyes like that. Her face, whatever the case may be. You reach for her head and you scratch her.
Marina Mabrey, who had absolutely no business involving herself in the situation, approached Clark from behind and delivered what can only be described as a body check that sent the league's biggest star crashing to the floor. The crowd's reaction was immediate and visceral. They knew they had witnessed something that crossed every line of acceptable competition.
Off me, and then here comes Marina Mabrey. Boom! Exploding Caitlin Clark like a safety coming downhill in the NFL. There was no flop there. Marina Mabrey did a straight beeline run to Caitlin Clark and checked her. You got Lexi Hull saying, JC, what the hell is wrong with you? This was all game, folks. All game. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were getting checked. All game. The Indiana Fever were getting punked. All game, the referees let this physical style of basketball.
After a lengthy review that seemed to take longer than a Supreme Court deliberation, the officials emerged with decisions that defied logic, precedent, and common sense. Sheldon received a flagrant foul for the eye poke, appropriate considering the wind-up and impact that crew chief Ashley Gloss described. But then came the decisions that would ignite a firestorm of controversy.
Why was JC foul upgraded to a flagrant one? In judgment of the officials, the foul by Sheldon was unnecessary. The contact to Caitlin Clark's face. Furthermore, there was wind up and impact, and the contact to the face carries a potential for injury. Question: what went into deciding Marina should get a technical instead of something more severe like an ejection? She said the contact made by Mabry did not rise to the level of ejection. How the fuck does that not rise to a level of ejection? Can someone explain that to me? I think even in the NBA that might have been an ejection. I think both of them would have got ejected. She said additionally it did not meet the criteria for flagrant one foul penalty too. So what does?
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. Caitlin Clark, the victim of both an eye poke and a blindside body check, received a technical foul. Marina Mabry, whose actions were so egregious that even casual observers expected an immediate ejection, received nothing more than a technical foul. Despite delivering what amounted to a football-style body check on an unsuspecting opponent, Mabry remained in the game because, according to officials, the contact made by Marina Mabry did not rise to the level of an ejection. The WNBA later upgraded Mabry's technical to a flagrant 2 foul, but only after the damage was done. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham, who retaliated by taking down Sheldon in the fourth quarter, was immediately ejected and hit with additional fines.
This is, of course, Sophie and Sheldon going down the floor. Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose. And Sophie said, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. We'll go. We'll go. So there's that.
Connecticut Sun head coach Rachid Meziane, who should have been apologizing for his players' conduct, instead chose to attack Sophie Cunningham for defending her teammate. The same coach who watched his players deliberately target the league's biggest star with illegal contact calls Sophie Cunningham disrespectful for standing up for her teammate. This is rich coming from a coach whose players had been targeting Clark throughout the game. Meziane somehow found the audacity to suggest that Cunningham's retaliation was worse than his players' calculated assault on an opponent. The hypocrisy is staggering. A coach defending players who deliberately injures an opponent while condemning the player who stood up for her teammate.
Thoughts on what happened there, the physicality and some of the stuff, I guess, during the game?
I do not understand, when you are winning a game by 17 points and you doing this, for me, a stupid foul. So this is just disrespectful, and I don't know how JC and Lindsay they get ejected from the game when they did not do nothing. So for me, it's just disrespectful, to do this foul when you are winning the game by 17 points. Okay.
The statistics paint a damning picture of what Caitlin Clark faces every time she steps on the court. 17% of the WNBA's flagrant fouls this season have been committed against Clark. To put that in perspective, one player is absorbing nearly 1/5 of all flagrant fouls in the entire league. Former Iowa coach Lisa Blutter has called for rule changes to protect players like Clark, stating, "If we want that to change, we have to change the way the game is called." She's advocating for more fouls to be called across the board, not just for Clark's sake, but to protect all players. "I think there needs to be more freedom of movement in our game," Bluter said. The sentiment is picking up traction among those who understand basketball. ESPN analyst Andrea Carter recently commented, with Clark, "It's not just rookie hazing. She's being treated like a target," and she's absolutely right. This goes far beyond normal physicality.
Realistically, I think Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs to get better, specifically the consistency, not only from one game to the next, but the consistency within a game. One coach told me, we tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them, they're pretty much going to get.
The contrast between how the officials handled the Mabry incident versus the Cunningham incident is a perfect example of the WNBA's officiating problems. In the third quarter, Marina Mabrey delivered a blindside body check to an unsuspecting opponent and remained in the game. In the fourth quarter, Sophie Cunningham committed a hard but legal basketball foul and was immediately ejected when the situation escalated. The message was clear and disturbing. Hard fouls committed in the flow of basketball warranted ejections, while targeted attacks on star players warranted technical fouls. The officials had essentially established that protecting leads was more serious than protecting players. This inconsistency isn't just about one game. It's about the entire league's approach to player safety. When Aja Wilson is in concussion protocol and Paige Buchers is dealing with concussion issues, the league has a responsibility to protect its players. Instead, we're seeing defensive tactics that resemble checks and tackles rather than basketball.
Right? Question, why did Caitlin Clark get a technical foul? After the foul by Sheldon, Clark reached in an unsportsmanlike manner towards Sheldon. What type of sense? Yo, she got hit in the eye. In one angle, it looks like she got damn near punched. And then she trying to get up. She trying to get the girl off her. The girl attacks at her. And then Marina comes and knocks her down. That's crazy. So you gotta wait till something happens so the lead viewership could plummet for another 10 weeks. Yo, this reporter is just a hater, whatever she is. She said no place in the game for what Sophie Cunningham did. What about what she didn't say shit about what the other two people did. She said no place in the game for what Sophie Cunningham did. That warrants further review and penalty from the lead. But you're not gonna review and penalize what Marina and the other girl.
The question that haunts every rational observer is, why is Caitlin Clark continuing to promote a league that refuses to protect her? The woman who has single-handedly driven unprecedented interest in women's basketball is being rewarded with targeted violence and indifferent officiating. Clark has helped push WNBA ratings to multi-year highs, according to ESPN Stats and Info. She's become the central figure in the league's surging popularity, and yet the league treats her like a disposable commodity rather than the irreplaceable asset she is. There's a growing movement among fans advocating for Clark to leave the WNBA, suggesting that her talents aren't sufficiently valued by other players or the league itself. When the face of your league is being systematically targeted while receiving technical fouls for being victimized, you're not just failing as a sports organization. You're failing as a business.
So it's really people out here defending Marina Mabrey for Madden hit sticking Caitlin Clark to the floor, saying that she's just protecting her teammate. For one, it involved Caitlin Clark and JC Sheldon. They had their little spiel before that. And then JC Sheldon scratches Clark in the face, then invades her space after that. Clark pushes her away because of that. And then Marina Mabrey comes get involved and Madden hit sticks her to the floor, man. And y'all just like she was protecting her teammate. But then Sophie Cunningham is getting called vile and disgusting for dropping JC Sheldon to the floor and dragging her by the hair. So Sophie Cunningham can't stick up for her teammate, or else it's vile and disgusting. But Marina Mabrey could get involved in something that didn't involve her, and it's just she was protecting her teammate. The Caitlin Clark.
What happened in Indianapolis wasn't just about one poorly officiated game. They encapsulated the systemic issues within the WNBA regarding player safety, competitive integrity, and professional standards. The league's failure to protect Caitlin Clark while simultaneously punishing her for being targeted reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of both basketball and business. The WNBA has structural problems that go beyond individual games. The league operates with lower referee salaries, fewer resources for training, and different rule sets compared to the NBA. WNBA referees are often paid per game rather than as salaried employees. These disparities affect the pool of available talent and the level of experience among officials. The NBA provides a last 2-minute report for close games, offering transparency and accountability for late-game calls, which the NBA has a dedicated replay center where off-site officials review plays, while the WNBA handles replays on the court with the same officials who made the initial call.
As well. Every year when we have our league meetings in the fall and in the spring, we say the same thing over and over and over. And nothing has changed. So, I'm not sure outside of continuing to submit clips, continuing to talk about it. Like, look,
bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Submitting clips, or y'all know in the NBA when they do that report and the official gets like the shit wrong, and then the following day they're like, oh, actually, yeah, the ref got it wrong on that. Like, that's the most pointless report. You know how mad I'll be if I got a turnover, they fouled me to, let's say, like, I'm dribbling, they stole the ball from me, but they fouled me. They get a game-winning layup. I wake up, go on Twitter the next day, and they say, "Oh, actually, that was a foul. It was a missed call. Sorry." We still lost the game. So she's saying they're submitting clips. They literally saw Kelsey Plum was damn near crying in the post-game interview about.
Sophie Cunningham's response to her ejection and subsequent criticism has been nothing short of perfect. Rather than apologizing for defending her teammate, she posted a video on TikTok and Instagram using Selena Gomez's "Hands to Myself" song. On TikTok, she explained why she posted the video. "It's a joke. The sound was too fitting. Happy game day." This wasn't just humor, it was a statement that she stands behind her actions. She also posted a photo of herself with arms stretched out on Instagram, a gesture many interpreted as a direct response to the criticism. NFL linebacker Jared Verse publicly supported Cunningham's actions, sharing the video of the altercation on social media with a strong message of endorsement. Fans have rallied behind her as well, with comments like, "I knew Sophie was going to get that get back for Caitlyn today," and "Sophie is definitely the enforcer of this team."
You guys do know Sophie Cunningham is a hitman, right? She used to do Taekwondo. In fact, she's a black belt. That's why she had her in the Muay Thai clinch. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to mess with Sophie Cunningham. They brought her in to be the enforcer. I didn't ever think it would be Sophie Cunningham, but apparently she's got mad skills, bro. And she can murk fools. She has the strength of a hyena, bro. I don't know what it is. She looks sweet and innocent, but she will come for your throat, bro. And I'm so excited because Caitlin Clark has someone to defend the throne for her, bro. The enforcer has arrived.
Rachid Meziane's criticism of Sophie Cunningham has backfired spectacularly. Instead of addressing his own player's conduct, he chose to attack the player who stood up for her teammate. This approach has drawn widespread criticism and made him look like a coach who endorses targeting opposing players. The newly hired Connecticut Sun coach, who replaced Stephanie White after she left for the Indiana Fever, should be regretting his decision to publicly criticize Cunningham. His comments have painted him as someone who supports his players' dirty tactics, while condemning opponents for retaliating. Meziane, who has extensive coaching experience internationally and led Belgium to the FIBA European Women's Championship gold medal in 2023, should know better. His public comments defending his players' targeting of Clark while attacking Cunningham for defending her teammate have damaged his reputation.
Everything that happened last night between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun with Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Mabry, and Sheldon, all of it, it is so good for the WNBA, dude. Never in a million years would I have thought I would find myself feeling compelled to turn on a WNBA game at the same time as a Stanley Cup game in which one of the teams has the opportunity to win the best trophy in professional sports. Never in a million years would I have thought I would feel compelled to turn on that WNBA game that's going on at the same time and find myself watching it and yelling, "Drag her ass," as Sophie Cunningham is tackling Sheldon to the floor. Love it, dude. It's so good. It's so good. The WNBA has needed, and the Fever more specifically, but just in general, the WNBA has needed a Sophie Cunningham so badly. And for the record, every single team.
The solution isn't complicated, but it does require the WNBA to acknowledge that their current approach isn't working. Officials need better training, clearer guidelines, and consistent enforcement of player safety rules. Players who target opponents should face immediate and severe consequences, regardless of their team affiliation or the game's situation. Most importantly, the league needs to recognize that protecting stars like Caitlin Clark isn't favoritism, it's good business. When the face of your league is being targeted with flagrant fouls at unprecedented rates, while receiving technical fouls for being victimized, you're undermining everything the league claims to stand for. The WNBA's response to the Fever Sun incident, upgrading Mabry's foul but not suspending anyone, sends the wrong message. It tells players that you can target opponents with impunity as long as you're willing to pay a fine.
Hard foul. And then there's the people that really do not like what the Indiana Fever have brought to the league, who are saying they do not like what Sophie Cunningham did. This should be assessed, this should be upgraded. And the league is assessing, and the league has been looking, and they have decided to upgrade Marina Mabry's tech in the game, of which she was not kicked out, to a flagrant 2. If she would have been issued the flagrant 2 last night, she would have been ejected from the game. But not only that, they assessed an additional fine to Sophie Cunningham on her current flagrant 2, which does come with a fine, and they assessed her an additional fine for her hard foul on JC Sheldon and the melee that ensued afterward.
The Indiana Fever advanced to the Commissioner's Cup Championship, where they competed for a $500,000 0-cents prize pool. But the real prize would be a league that prioritizes player safety over manufactured drama, competitive integrity over social media engagement, and professional officiating over amateur hour decision-making. Until that happens, the chaos in Indianapolis will remain a perfect example of how the WNBA's officiating problems are undermining everything the league claims to stand for. Sophie Cunningham's ejection, while Marina Mabrey walked free, perfectly encapsulates the WNBA's double standards. Rachid Meziane's criticism of Cunningham while defending his players' targeting of Clark reveals the toxic culture that permeates the league. And the systematic targeting of Caitlin Clark while the league turns a blind eye shows that this isn't a serious professional sports organization. It's a circus where the referees have lost control and the inmates are running the asylum. The question isn't whether Sophie Cunningham was right to defend her teammate. The question is why the WNBA continues to operate like a league that doesn't deserve players of her caliber. Until the league addresses its officiating crisis and stops allowing players to target its biggest stars, it will remain a cautionary tale of how not to run a professional sports organization.